it doesn't mean that money equals power, because yeah, I mean, just like Balaji explains, the very kind of, if you go to ad absurdum, like kind of like let's say Stalin, imagine Stalin walking in the USSR, and he could Balaji like talks about this like example that he could be like penniless or have no money in his pocket, but you know, the whole USSR belonged to him, so it's like he might, it's just like, I don't know, you know, or if you see like Kim Jong-un or something, like, I don't know, I mean, okay, he's rich or something, but technically Stalin might not have any money in his bank account or something, but like he could take anything what he wanted. So that's like a kind of like a maximum, or like the other absurd example, just to illustrate the point.
Hello, welcome back to Mtambo's Desk, a weekly podcast covering deep conversations on technology, philosophy, complex science, and cryptocurrency. My name is Jakub Mtambo, and the following is a conversation with Jakub Simek, a co-founder of Wezesha DAO and an author of Wisdom Enterprising. In today's episode, I'll be talking with Jakub Simek about his article, Money Rich versus Power Rich, under the daily Balajisms series. And now, dear friends, here is Jakub Simek. Well, let's talk about money and power. In your article about money rich versus power rich, you wrote that often people assume that the rich people are powerful, but Balaji disputes that notion. How does Balaji's view on the relationship between wealth and power differ from the commonly held belief that rich people are powerful?
Hi, Duke. So, okay, yeah, I mean, Elon Musk left San Francisco or California. He left California because there was a local politician who, like, I mean, it wasn't just because of her, but like it was like, you know, she wrote like F Elon Musk or something, and he said like a message received or something, you know, and then he moved to Austin, you know, so. I mean, he moved to Texas, if I'm correct. Yeah, Texas. Yeah. So, but the thing is, like, if let's say there are a lot of like elites, let's say a lot of rich people like escape from, let's say, Russia or even like the US, and they go to Switzerland, or they escape, let's say, California, and they go to Texas or to Miami, to Florida. So like if they are leaving like and escaping, are they like really powerful? And especially, let's say, from Middle East, they like, or from Iran, they escape to the US or something like that. So of course, like money can increase your options. You could, I don't know, yeah, you could buy, let's say, maybe some influence, or you could buy newspapers or something like that, you know. But if you are like really rich, but it's like not that it doesn't mean that money equals power, because yeah, I mean, just like Balaji explains, the very kind of, if you go to ad absurdum, like kind of like let's say Stalin, imagine Stalin walking in the USSR, and he could Balaji like talks about this like example that he could be like penniless or have no money in his pocket, but you know, the whole USSR belonged to him, so it's like he might, it's just like, I don't know, you know, or if you see like Kim Jong-un or something, like, I don't know, I mean, okay, he's rich or something, but technically Stalin might not have any money in his bank account or something, but like he could take anything what he wanted. So that's like a kind of like a maximum, or like the other absurd example, just to illustrate the point. And Balaji talks about like actually political billionaires. I don't know if I mentioned it in the article, but like it's I think I forgot. I don't know, but it's like okay. So it's the people who control over $1 billion. So they could be like political billionaires, meaning yeah, I mean, they have a budget of $1 billion and they can like, yeah, just like play with it and let's say not really play with it. Of course, they're also bound by some processes, but like they, yeah, they're political billionaires. Often they are more powerful than the real billionaires. Especially if they're like some bureaucrats, they're like they might be anonymous, they might be protected or unfireable, anonymous and unelected often. So you know, like many of these like big agencies, and they have their bureaucrats who, if they control like over billion, then they're like political billionaires. Yeah.
Yeah, and since you mentioned about political billionaires, what is the distinction between built rich entrepreneurs and born rich heirs and nepotists, and how does this relate also to the concept of political billionaires?
Okay, yeah, so you could have like usually it's immigrants, let's say, in the US building tech companies, and actually those tech companies then are more diverse and like they have more immigrants than, let's say, corporate media criticizing them and tech journalists tech media criticizing them. So often you get like people criticizing, let's say, I don't know, various startups like in the US, like you have media, but the employees of those media are less diverse, and usually, let's say, these tech founders, they are like build rich, meaning like they arrived like with almost no means, or let's say they were of humble means or middle class, and they built their companies and they distributed equity, let's say, to the early employees. And you could have even like I don't know, like office manager or something, just getting rich, because if the company was successful, everybody was working hard, and let's say the startup was acquired, everybody exited or got kind of rich thanks to the to equity. And but there are many people who in the US, like the old elites, let's say the Salzburger, the owners of the New York Times as an example, because they were like inheriting the paper like over 6 generations. So let's say if you Balaji talks about this example a lot, so therefore I'm mentioning it. So like they were born rich because they owned, you know, you are born into a family, and you suddenly own a newspaper, which actually makes you quite politically powerful and also quite rich, because the newspaper is traded on a stock exchange. So it's not like a NGO or something. So it's like a corporation, you know. For example, the succession between in that family was or the competition was between three white males, nepotists, or three cousins basically from that family, you know. So it wasn't, let's say, an Ethiopian journalist from here, or let's say a Ukrainian I don't know, editor from there, and someone, you know, some established and actually well, you know, like some Americans, let's say, but of diverse backgrounds, who have great achievements from, you know. So it was like just like basically nepotist, because you are born into a family, so then you become the owner of them. Of the company, which might be fine, but then it's like let's say for small and medium businesses. But if you are such a powerful institution like New York Times, and you're criticizing everyone for not being woke enough or something, then, you know, it's kind of a bit strange, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Previously, you also mentioned about people, you know, moving from, say, Miami or Dubai. Well, uh, why do some wealthy individuals choose to leave cities like, say, San Francisco for places like Miami or Dubai? And what does this decision imply about their ability to effect political change?
Yeah, exactly. That's like the point with, like, let's say, Elon Musk's family leaving South Africa to go to the US, and then he became an entrepreneur, and then later he left California for Texas because he couldn't actually. Okay, sorry, that's actually that's for the very beginning, but I didn't finish the point. That is like, if you are leaving some jurisdiction, it kind of implies that you are not powerful enough, because otherwise you could have just like changed the laws in the jurisdiction for your kind of benefit, or at least for the benefit of your class, or similar people like you, like investors or entrepreneurs or something. So if you are leaving, meaning that means kind of that implies that you are not powerful enough, that you might be rich, but you are you are money rich but not power rich. So you are not like not just like Stalin, but like, it's like he didn't have, let's say, any money, but he was power rich. But the crucial point is that you have multiple jurisdictions that are friendly, let's say, to Web3 and to crypto, or to like kind of new ways of doing capitalism. So you don't have just like one, but you have many of them. And actually, the most crucial point is that you are actually able to exit. So exit, like let's say, because technology like mobiles are making us more mobile. That's what Balaji also talks about. So like you can be in touch with your friends all around the world, and you can, let's say, store your wealth, let's say, in crypto, and moving it all around the world. So it's easier than, let's say, just like some physical cash or something. And many such things are technology enables many such things, like your friends even don't need to know that you moved, because you are online with them all the time, and then they don't know where you are based. Many such kind of things, and those jurisdictions, they also should compete with themselves, like, let's say, Dubai, Singapore, to attract the skilled immigrants, and also like wealthy people. So and those that competition is good, because then it also helps to reform other countries. So for example, Singapore, there were only like few Chinese who were living in like freer countries, or like more capitalist countries, but their example, let's say, like in Singapore and other places, helped to reform China itself, like there is a huge country, huge nation.
Okay, according to you, how is inequality in the US different from inequality in Europe? And how does this relate to the dynamic nature of inequality?
Yeah, it's also similar to like what Taleb talks about. Like in actually, then the US and Russia are a bit similar in this way, that that the inequality there is much more dynamic, meaning that actually it's not just about getting rich fast, but actually you can also get poor fast. It's just like let's say we saw it with SBF. He was like one of the richest people. I don't know, it's 60 something, but it's quite, it was in the first 100,
Yeah.
and then suddenly he's in the prison in Bahamas, which is not a nice prison, what I heard. So yeah, and he had less than $100,000 or something in his bank account, reportedly. I don't know if it's true, but it's interesting. You can get rich fast, but you can also get poor fast. And in Russia or places like this, you are like an oligarch, but then the other day all your wealth might be taken from you somehow, if you are not politically you're not friend with the regime anymore, or something like that. So which is, I don't know, which is just like interesting point, because let's say in Europe you have I mean, it's again, Europe is but let's say the Western Europe, or the old Europe, and especially places like Italy, you have like I don't know, the 500 families, the richest 500 families in what was it? Not yeah, some place in Florence, I think, yeah, in Florence, in Italy. The 500 richest families in Florence are the same 500 richest families like they were like, I don't know, a few hundred years ago. Like
Really?
it's the same. I don't know, or no, it's like I don't know, maybe it's not 500 families, but it's like, let's say 100 families, and over 5 centuries, they're like the same riches, that's just an example, because then the inequality is much more static. So it's not only about like this Gini coefficient, where the US is like less equal, but it's also, if you look at it dynamically, like actually those people who are in the top 10% or top 1%, actually they change quite a lot. And also during a lifetime, it changes quite a lot. Yeah.
Okay. As well as we wrap up this conversation, how does the old establishment benefit from the departure of tech founders and billionaires, and what potential risks do these pose to their long-term power and influence?
Yeah, I mean, they're like the counter elites, so like it's there you have these like meme of like word cells versus num cells. It's like people who know how to write well, but they are not so numerate. Like let's say they mix billionaires and millionaires in one sentence, so it's like, and actually, they're like, I don't know, I forgot the exact numbers, but I have it in the article, but they're like, I don't know, less than 1,000, like 900 something billionaires in the US, but then there are like a couple of million millionaires in the US, so it's like if you mention millionaires and billionaires like Bernie Sanders in one sentence, it's kind of like mixing apples and pears or something, like mixing various fruits together. So sorry, that's the Slovak metaphor, but anyhow, I don't know. Yeah, so that's like one way. You have these word cells who know how to write well, but they are not so numerate, and then you have like various like programmers or something. And of course, the point is to know both, like let's say to be good at coding or establishing companies or engineering, and also to be good at media, how to sell some ideas that you have. But these counter elites or these new elites, let's say, that you can, it's just like if you follow what's happening around Elon Musk and how he's treated versus, let's say, SBF, then you see like the dynamics. It's like, it's not kind of fair. I mean, I'm not saying that Elon Musk is without fault, or sometimes his jokes or his way, how he presents himself is not really maybe adequate or something, but how they treat him compared to SBF, it's kind of like a bit strange, quite strange. Yeah.
Thank you, Jakub, for your time once again at Mtambo's desk.
Thank you, Duke, and Happy New Year. And yeah.
Happy New Year to you. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. If you enjoyed listening to Mtambo's Desk podcast, please subscribe, give this episode a thumbs up, and be sure to come back next week for another episode. Until then, this is Duke Mtambo, and don't forget to do good always.